Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live interactive telephone town hall with Pennsylvania Labor and Industry Secretary Jerry Oleksiak and UC Benefits Policy Director Susan Dickinson. My name is Dirk, and I'll be the moderator today. The goal of this event is to provide you with helpful information and to answer your questions, as well as update you on Pennsylvania's unemployment benefits programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. As noted, this is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can live during this event. If you have a question, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They will take down your name and where you're calling from. Then the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. If you're streaming this event on our website, simply type your name and question below the streaming player. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we possibly can this afternoon. Again, to ask a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. If we're not able to get to your question, please send us an email at uchelp@pa.gov. We'll start today's call with remarks from both Secretary Oleksiak and UC Benefits Policy Director Susan Dickinson. Secretary, we turn to you first. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you as well to all of you who are joining us. And many of you have been with us probably for all 26 of these calls. This will be the last town hall we'll be doing this calendar year. After today, we will be taking a break. We also, during that break, will continue our media calls, so we will get information out that way. We'll be updating our frequently asked questions on the website and providing any other information that becomes available, and we are going to look into other formats that may help us better connect with you. We appreciate those of you who have been with us. We appreciate the questions. We appreciate the opportunity to answer those questions, and we urge you to continue to use our phone numbers, emails, live chats to continue to reach out to us. A few number updates. Since March 15th, the beginning of the mitigation efforts, we've paid more than $31 billion in unemployment benefits, about $6 billion of that through our traditional unemployment compensation program, the remainder through the CARES Act, through the extended benefits program of both the state and federal government, and also including the Lost Wages Assistance Program. 97% of our eligible claimants who filed for regular unemployment compensation between March 15th and October 10th were either paid or determined to be ineligible for benefits. And that week continues to get closer to the current date. So we're making real progress with that. The reason we're making progress is because we have almost tripled our unemployment compensation service center staff from 775 employees to our current total of 2,286. And those employees have worked almost 100,000 hours of total overtime hours. We've also reached about 4 million claimants through our email, through our phone lines, through our live chat, and through our virtual assistant. We have been improving our wait times. I know that doesn't help those of you who continue to have issues reaching out to us, but the wait times are growing shorter. The number of phone calls are decreasing, and we continue to make progress with that. We are hopeful by the end of the calendar year that we will have 8,000 calls daily that we will be responding to and 11,000 emails that we will be responding to. We continue to make progress with our adjudications, with our backdating claims. We have the emergency regulations that allow our staff now to go back up to 52 weeks to backdate claims, and with stopping, not completely, but working diligently to stop the benefits-related fraud and to improve our time in getting benefits to the people who really need them. Again, and we know if you're on the wrong side of those stats, that doesn't help, but we are making progress, and we continue to do what we need to do to get people the benefits they deserve. I want to remind you about the fraud. We are encouraging you to remain vigilant in the fight against fraud, to recognize the warning signs, to guard your personal information. Over the past several weeks, we've announced new attempts by fraudsters to steal information or unemployment benefits from you. Late last night, we were just made aware of 2 new phishing schemes occurring in other states where those bad actors want you to click on links by promising you a portion of new pandemic stimulus funding or even a prize. There is no new pandemic stimulus funding at this point, so these are obvious scams. Please be on high alert for these and other unemployment scams, and always guard your personal information. Those of us at L&I, we will never contact a claimant and ask you for your username, your password, or your full Social Security number. We may ask for your name and the last 4 digits of your Social Security number when we reach out to you. You should never give this information to anyone, no matter how much they promise they are helping you. We've also recently noticed an influx of PIN reset requests, combined with requests to change the address the new PIN would be sent to. Presumably, these requests are being made by fraudsters who are sending new PINs to locations where they can get them and use them to enter claimants' accounts. L&I is now, to protect people from this, is now only sending PIN change requests to the original address from which the claimant filed their claim. If the claimant needs to change both their PIN and their address, they must contact the UC Service Center at 888-313-7284. That's 888-313-7284 to provide additional information to help verify your identity. We know that these changes may add steps, and that adds time. But again, this is something that we have to fight. We want to make sure you get your benefits. The bad guys are causing this, and we are doing all we can to fix it. A reminder, we'll keep repeating this, don't give your username or password to anyone. These folks come across as caring. They come across as genuinely trying to help. All they're looking for is to take money from you. So we continue working with state and federal law enforcement partners, and we encourage you to go to our website, uc.pa.gov, to find information on the warning signs, what to do if you're a victim, and more information on this in general. Move on to another topic. We've been getting questions about the end date of the CARES Act programs, PUA and the PEUC programs particularly. These programs were established by the federal government in response to the pandemic, and they were part of the Federal CARES Act. Those acts, that act and those programs will end the week ending December 26th if the federal government does not take any action to extend those programs or similar programs. We know how vital these are to claimants. We continue to urge Congress to find a remedy to help people whose benefits will be running out. We'll continue to provide updates on our website and through the media to let people know if anything does change as far as an extension or new programs for these benefits. We continue to pay out benefits through the Lost Wages Assistance Program, which is not a UC program, but part of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the extra $300 a week for those weeks ending August 1st through September 5th. We still have grant money available, and we encourage those of you who think you may be eligible for that to go to uc.pa.gov to get more information on this program. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Susan, who has a few other bits of information she'd like to share. Susan?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this last town hall that we're doing for now. I have another few reminders and announcements, especially to keep in mind as we're going through the next few months. We're getting into the winter, which is usually our busy season, but of course this is a weird year. Who knows what's going to happen. So just a few things to keep in mind. First of all, for individuals opening regular claims, back back to the beginning of the pandemic, we had a whole bunch of individuals who had never claimed unemployment before. They were opening new claims. They didn't know what to expect. We kind of went through a very large learning curve with individuals, to explain claims to them and for them to understand the process. So I would like to remind everyone that there is a troubleshooting guide on our website, and it really does help with a lot of these basic type of questions. If you've opened your claim and you were expecting payment and there is no payment, why is there no payment? It's difficult to get a hold of someone. It's actually a great idea to look over the troubleshooting guide first, and that can explain some basic process type things, some basic situations. Depending on your situation, this might be why you haven't been paid yet. So our troubleshooting guide is called What's Wrong with My Unemployment Claim? You can find it on our website, www.uc.pa.gov. Under our frequently asked questions, there's a claimant section, an employer section. There's a bunch of different sections. Go under our claimant section of frequently asked questions, and you can look through our guide there. So we have, a whole bunch of you, especially those of you who've been listening week after week to the town halls. You're probably old pros at this now. You know the basics. But we do still, believe it or not, have individuals who, we get a hold of us and say, I applied 4 months ago and I haven't been paid, and what's going on? And we'll look at their claim and they haven't filed any continued claims. They haven't been filing every 2 weeks. They didn't realize they had to. It's basic stuff like that is, a shame when individuals don't understand that they have to do it. Now, the good news is once we can talk to them and educate them, then they know. But it is, it's not a rare thing, actually, for individuals to just not understand the basic process. So I highly encourage, anyone, especially if you're not used to unemployment, to look through that guide. Things as simple as that, just having to file every other week. Things as simple as reporting your earnings, and you might have too many earnings in a week and not be eligible for a benefit. It explains all the basic types of scenarios that someone might be falling under to help them better understand what's happening with their claim. So, for those of you who have been listening, the basics, but, maybe you're talking to someone in the next few months who talks about their unemployment claim and they're having a problem. I highly recommend, pointing them toward that guide and say, hey, maybe you can, if you can't get a hold of someone, maybe you can look at this guide and figure it out on your own, what might be going on. So I just recommend, we have a lot of good resources on our website. So that's one of the good ones that individuals can use to figure out what's going on. On the PUA claimant side, we also have explanations of the different codes and messages that people get on their dashboard when there's a payment being held for some reason. That's similar to the troubleshooting guide on regular UC, but this is specific to the PUA program. And if you go to, our website, www.uc.pa.gov/PUA, that's a page, specifically for the PUA program. There is a document. There's a lot of different links on that page to different resources. This one is called PUA Issue Codes and Their Meanings. And we actually did just update it yesterday. So you can look on there to find the code. There's numerical codes. I don't believe on your dashboards you can see the number, but you can see the description that comes after the number. So if you look through the descriptions, you'll see what it is it means, and then if there's any action for you to take, it'll explain there what your action needs to be. So I highly recommend that for PUA claimants to be able to figure out, what might be holding up your payment, kind of a troubleshooting guide for the PUA side of things. Back to what the secretary was talking about with fraud and all the different fraud schemes and phishing schemes that we've seen. There's new ones that the federal government tells the states about all the time. There's new things popping up all the time. So, of course, the secretary reminded you to be vigilant. Don't give out your personal information to anyone. I'd also like to remind everyone that charging a fee for filing a claim for you is illegal. So if you have, been approached or been offered, or of anyone who is collecting fees for filing claims for people, that's illegal, and that should be reported. Generally, those, are schemes. That means they're not just doing it for one person. They're doing it for a lot of people and trying to make money off of individuals off of benefits that should rightfully be theirs. So, keep in mind that if you do hear or see anything about an individual charging a fee to, open a PUA claim for someone and get them PUA benefits, that's illegal. We do have a report fraud button on our website, so fraud can be reported that way. There's phone numbers available on our contact us page. We also have, the fraud hotline that someone can leave a message on, and then we'll be able to, forward it to the correct authorities to be able to look into it if that's what's required. I also wanted to mention ID Me for PUA identity verification. PUA identity verification. We are continuing to use the ID Me third-party vendor to identify individuals to be able to receive benefits. For those of you who have been, hanging in there with us for months, trying to get your identities verified, please remember that if you sent information to your dashboard or tried to go through the state, send us an email, that is no longer the way you need to get verified. You need to go through ID Me in order to get verified. So don't think, if you uploaded something 3 months ago that you're going to get verified. You need to take action and go through ID Me to be verified. If you send documents, I just saw one claim yesterday where someone was confused because they had already sent documents and were wondering how they weren't getting verified, but they sent them in their dashboard. They uploaded them, but ID Me doesn't have access to your dashboard. You need to send your documents directly to ID Me. They don't have access to state information. So if you've taken the steps to upload your identity or your identification to your dashboard in the past, that's kind of null and void. You need to actually go through ID Me in order to be identified. So you will get the link. Most people probably received the link in their dashboard by now. In about 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks, we should finally have all the links out to everybody who should be getting a link. And if you have not yet gone through ID Me to do your verification, you will use that link from your dashboard to go through the process. You'll have to upload documentation. You'll have to take a selfie and send it to them. There's a couple different things you have to do, and then they'll identify you. And once that's complete, they tell the state of Pennsylvania, and then we're able to release your payments if you have payments pending and no other issues. So please remember that all of this is done through ID Me and not through the state. The only part that you do through the state is to log in to your dashboard to get the message and then link from the dashboard. Please remember there might be links, back to the talk about fraud and phishing. There might be links shared on social media or other places which make it sound like it's from us or from ID Me, but it might not be real. So it's best to just use the link from your dashboard. Your PUA dashboard is secure. So you're going to get the right link there. You're not going to be redirected to some fraudulent link. And the last thing I wanted to mention before we start taking questions is just a reminder that, and it'll probably come up today during the questions, but just a reminder that email is the best way to reach us now. uchelp@pa.gov for the majority of claims, regular UC, PEUC, that sort of a thing, general questions. PUA has the ucpua@pa.gov address. So for our UC Help address at some point during the pandemic, we had a ton of emails. It was, taking a long time to get a response from us. But as of now, the oldest email we have is only a month old. And keep in mind, that doesn't mean that, the oldest email is the average email response time. That's the oldest. So it's only taking a week or two, maybe a little more, depending on the complexity of your case, to get a response from us now. So email is quicker and faster a lot of times than having to dial on the phone over and over every day. Keep in mind, if you are trying to use the phone, don't try to call at 8 a.m. Call it later in the day. Call later in the week. Everyone always tries at the very beginning, and that's what jams everything up. So if you just call later in the day or later in the week, you'll have better success. All right, and with that reminder about email, that is the last thing I wanted to share, so we are ready to start taking questions.
All right, as we transition to the Q&A portion, as a reminder, if you've got a question that you'd like to ask, please press *3 on your telephone keypad, or if you're streaming this call through the web, simply type your name and question below the streaming player. So our first caller today, we've got Barbara joining us on the line. Barbara, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, thank you. I have two questions. The first one is, I'm currently on extended benefits until December 26th, but my claim year ends December 5th. So do I still get extended benefits until the 26th, and how soon do I file a new claim? And then my second question real quick, if I am denied a new claim and if there is a new stimulus package that says it's retroactive, would I still get that retroactive money even though I would no longer be on unemployment?
Hi, Barbara. So the extended benefits, the way that works is if at any point it looks like you can qualify for a new regular claim, then you would, be able to, we would test you and see if you could be eligible for the new claim. So you had mentioned that your benefit year is over December 5th. When your benefit year is over, that's what we call BYE. It stands for benefit year ending. So your claim will be BYE on December 5th. And that just means that starting with the following week, there will likely be a brief hold on your claim while the staff looks to see if you can qualify for a new regular UC claim. The system is a little bit sophisticated, not very sophisticated, but a little bit sophisticated. If it knows and it can tell that you don't have enough wages to qualify, it won't even put a hold on your claim. You'll just keep on sailing through. But if you might have enough wages to qualify for a new claim, it's just going to briefly hold it while someone looks. And then they might be contacting you to say, you need to file a new claim. If you are fairly sure that you do have enough wages to qualify, then starting on December 6th at the earliest, you can go online and just open a new claim. Like if you know that we're going to, hold you up anyway because you do qualify, you may as well go ahead and proactively open your new claim and then stop filing on extended benefits. But if you don't qualify for a new claim, then you'll be able to just keep on sailing through with your regular extended benefits until the end of the year. If the CARES Act is extended, you had mentioned, will you get retroactive benefits, et cetera. It all depends on how the federal government would set it up. And they'll usually, when they extend the programs, there's certain effective dates for when it's extended. They might make it retroactive, or they might say it's from now moving forward, or they might create a whole new program. It's hard to say. Of course, generally if someone is, not receiving benefits from us because we're looking at an eligibility issue or something, they'll end up receiving them retroactively, once, we resolve the issue and figure out what it is we need to do. But, in terms of a simple, federal extension, it all depends on what the legislation says in the end. And then, of course, once the legislation is passed, the U.S. Department of Labor puts together, all of the instructions for the states to say this is how you have to administer the program, and then they'll send those out to us so we'll have a better understanding of what it is we need to do to make the claims happen. So for now, keep on filing your extended benefits. I will mention at the end of December. Now, you had said your extended benefits end at the end of December, and I don't know if you literally meant extended benefits, which came after PEUC, or if you were referring to PEUC as your extended benefits. But just for everybody listening, PEUC, the program actually does end December 26th. The extended benefits program continues into the new year. It will end as soon as the unemployment rate drops below a certain level, and then there's a 3-week grace period. So the regular extended benefits is not tied to federal legislation, but PEUC, PUA, those are all part of the CARES Act, and those are federal legislation. I just wanted to make that clarification. Thank you.
All right, next up, we've got Rhonda on the line. Rhonda, welcome to the call. You're live. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. This is her daughter. My mom can't speak because she had a stroke. We want to know, because my mom, she applied for unemployment benefits back in June 14th, and she has yet to receive not one payment. And it's November. So we're trying to figure out what's going on, and are we missing anything or something?
Hi, Rhonda. It could be, I mean, if that was when she opened her claim, that it was reported that, one of the questions on there was, are you able to accept work? Are you available to accept work? And she probably reported no. Then that would be what's going on if someone is looking at that eligibility issue. In order for someone to receive payments for unemployment, you have to be able to accept work. So, if she's not able to work, then she'll be denied unemployment benefits because then she's not in, in the, what's the word I'm looking for, the covered employment section, I guess you could say. A person has to be able to be, they're in like this pool of covered employment people in order to be able to receive benefits. It's an insurance program where, you have to be in the qualified pool of people in order to get benefits from that insurance. So that's a basic being able to accept work every week and available to accept work every week is like a basic tenet of the unemployment program across the nation. That's not specific to Pennsylvania. So if, she hasn't been able to work since June, then she'll likely be denied, and that is what the examiner would be looking at. Probably reaching out to try to get further information about was she able to work at all, do any type of work, that sort of a thing. And then once they, make a decision, based on the information, then you'll receive that determination in the mail. If it's something that you disagree with, then you'd be able to appeal it. Or, she would just continue not being able or available to accept work indefinitely. And if she is ever then able to accept work again, at that point the disqualification ends. There's a whole bunch of different types of disqualifications in the unemployment law. This particular one is a week-to-week type of test, which is different from like if you were to quit your job and you didn't have a good reason, we would disqualify you, but that would be indefinite. It would be until you are separated from work again and it was for a good reason. When it comes to able and available, it really is week to week, and that's why we ask it when people file for biweekly benefits. It's one of the questions there. Were you able to work, and were you available to work for these weeks? And if you say no, then you're not eligible for benefits because you have to be able and available to accept work in order to get a benefit. So I hope that clears it up for you. If you are looking for that determination, wondering where it is, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, just sending one email to uchelp@pa.gov will probably get you a pretty quick answer on the status because it's, we don't have nearly as many emails as we used to, so it's easier and faster to get a response that way.
All right, a quick time check. Looks like we're about halfway through today's call. So if you've got a question that you would like to ask live on this call, you need to press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, if you have a question you'd like to ask, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. If you're streaming this call through the web, just type your name and question below the streaming player. Moving on now, we're joined by Eric. Eric, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, I was calling. I've been having trouble. I'm trying to figure out how to claim the weeks that my claim was backdated from back in the beginning of when I first opened it. There's 6 weeks there that are missing. I got an email a few months ago saying, based on your Social Security number, there was a day that you'd had to go on to do it. I went on that day, and I was never prompted to fill it out, and I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody since. They have backdated my claim to the correct date in March, but like I said, I haven't been able to claim it. And then in the list, it starts at number 7. If you go to your complete list of weeks you claimed. And I'm just not sure what I'm supposed to do or how I can fix that.
Hi, Eric. It sounds like that is a situation which can only be fixed by a staff member. And I know you said you were kind of having trouble getting a hold of them. So I just recommend just sending an email and saying, that you need those weeks. I believe you're in the PUA system, which means that staff can't, in our old legacy system, we have the flexibility of being able to make weeks available and telling you to just go in and do it. Like I could go in now and say, hey, I set up these 6 weeks for you, just go in and you can do it on your own online or whatever. The PUA system doesn't have that feature. So if the system doesn't have you filing weeks on time, if you go untimely, as they call it, it's not going to let you do it no matter what we do. So a person has to actually just ask you the questions for those weeks, and they're the standard questions that you answer every week. They would ask you the questions for each one of those 6 weeks, and then they have to physically submit the payment. So unfortunately, it's a little fussier, but it's not impossible. So if you just you could do this one of two ways if you wanted to call the PUA call center. Speaking of call volumes, the PUA call center volume is lower than our regular call center volume. I still recommend doing the later in the week, later in the day trick, but they definitely, it's easier to get through in PUA than it is for our regular claims. Or if you prefer to just send an email to ucpua@pa.gov, you can do that as well. We do have on the PUA page of our website, www.uc.pa.gov/PUA. There is a little explanation there explaining how to get backdated weeks. Now, I realize that your claim date was backdated. You had already said that was backdated to where it should be. But the weeks that go along with it are, of course, part of what you need to do. So you can explain that you have the correct date of the claim, but you need to have someone backdate those payments for you. And then they'll be able to get in touch with you, ask you those questions, and be able to submit the payments for you. And I believe at that point, the system is able to have you claim current weeks if you're still unemployed and you still need to claim weeks. If not, if there's been a gap and you've been employed or you haven't been claiming and there's, future weeks that you might need to claim, you may have to reopen your claim. But you can, depending on your particular claim situation, you can discuss that with the person when they get in touch with you, when they call you or you call them, just to make sure that you get what you need, and they'll be able to tell you what it is you need to do and how to get set up.
Moving on now to some online questions. Stasia wants to know, what's the schedule for PEUC payments for the week of Thanksgiving?
So for the week of Thanksgiving, generally the beginning of the week will be the same. And of course, most people, file on Sunday. So whether you're looking at the Sunday before Thanksgiving or the Sunday after Thanksgiving, Sunday is generally unaffected. The only thing that affects our payment schedules are days when the banks are closed. So that would be, of course, Thursday, and I believe banks are closed on Friday. So if, for example, you were normally filing, let's say you wanted to file your benefits on Wednesday, normally you'd get a payment 2 days later, that's Friday. But the banks would be closed, so until they open, then you may not get a payment. So if you file on Wednesday instead of getting paid Friday, it might just be Monday or Tuesday. We do generally put a holiday payment schedule up on our website when a holiday is approaching. So you can check out our website, and we'll probably, I would think, if we don't have it up already, it will probably be up early next week so that individuals know what to expect. Same thing with if you actually file your benefits on Thanksgiving. Some people do that, or on Friday. Of course, the payment file the first night, the fact that we're closed, it doesn't affect anything because it's all automatic. Our system makes the payments and takes care of it, and the system is still working on Thanksgiving. but when you receive the payment depends on when the banks are open. So it may not be until, for example, Tuesday until you receive that payment. So anyway, you can check out our schedule, which will soon be on our website.
So our next online question was submitted by Andrew, who says, my PUA claim was terminated in August. No reason was communicated on my dashboard, email, or through regular mail. What remedies are available under UC law and or the CARES Act to have this matter adjudicated?
It sounds like, because you use the word terminated, I'm thinking that there may have been a fraud issue. So what we probably need is all the information from you, proof of employment, proof of your identity, et cetera, to be uploaded to the dashboard and then email us. Keep in mind, if anyone uploads things to their dashboard, we don't know about it. Unless you send us a separate email to ucpua@pa.gov, we don't know that individuals have uploaded anything to their dashboard. We don't get any type of internal notice or communication from the system that happened. So just be sure to email ucpua@pa.gov and explain the issue, that you're looking for your claim, you don't know why it was terminated, all of your supporting documentation to prove who you are and what your work attachment was is there. And then an individual will be able to, take a look at it and if they have everything they need, they'll be able to reverse it. Now, generally, if there is a fraud issue like that, we don't just stop the claim. We'll usually issue a denial as well. So I would expect for you to have a denial, but if not, it's still a good idea to just send ucpua@pa.gov an email to check into it. And then they'll get that straightened out. And, if you need any back weeks or anything like that, they'll be able to call you and ask you, the continuing claim questions for each back week and then be able to submit those payments.
All right, let's do another online question before going back to the phones. Tina wonders, what happens when we run out of PUA and it tells us to file a new claim?
So, yes, this is a good question because PUA is almost over. A lot of individuals have already ended their 39th week, which is the last week of PUA, or for those who might be drawing it out a little bit longer, it will be ending at the end of December. So for individuals, and there's two groups of individuals on PUA, the majority of the individuals on PUA are self-employed and can't qualify for a regular unemployment claim. So that's the trickier group because there's really no other unemployment program which applies to them. They wouldn't qualify for a regular unemployment claim if they don't have traditional, W-2 type wages. So that is entirely, dependent on the federal government either extending PUA or, possibly creating a new program that's like PUA. It may have different qualifications, different things that you have to do. So for individuals who can possibly qualify for a new regular UC claim, that would then be what you would have to do is as soon as, if you know that you don't have an active regular UC claim, you can open up a new UC claim and see if you qualify. If you know you don't qualify yet, but you might qualify at the next quarter, remember to wait for the quarter to change. That will be the after the first Sunday in every fourth month. So January through March is the first quarter. So you would have to file, make sure no earlier than the first Sunday in January, or if you have to wait for April, you would have to wait until the first Sunday in April to file for the second quarter, and so on and so forth. So right now, as far as we know, there are no CARES Act extensions. If you keep watching the news, I keep seeing things about we may have something and then we may not have something, and, it kind of goes back and forth. Depends on what Congress is going to do. So as soon as we know of, anything happening or we get information about any new programs, we'll be sure to update our website with that. And, we'll make sure everyone knows that, what types of programs are coming and what they have to do to apply for them. And I'll also remind everyone that, we have, the state has other resources available to individuals. Unemployment is certainly a good lifeline, but there are other lifelines out there. So there are, various resources through Pennsylvania that you can, if you look at our various websites of all the different departments, there's a lot of things out there that could be available for you if you don't have any more unemployment coming your way.
All right, as the saying goes, there's no time like the present. If you've got a question you'd like to ask live on this call, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, *3 to enter our question queue. Next up, we've got Tim joining us. Tim, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please. Hello, Tim?
Yes. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I got approved for my unemployment back in June. I got payments up to June 26th, I think it was. I didn't understand what was going on. I found out that I had to do the ID Me program. I went through that. It said on the 17th of this month that my payments went through because my ID Me was approved, but it's not it's not showing up. And I was wondering how long it takes after, because I got the confirmation number and all that on my phone when I went through the web portal, but it's still not showing up through the card.
Hi, Tim. So once we make the payment, or once you're verified by ID Me, so if you, let's say, you were verified by ID Me today, you get the email from us saying you've been verified and it's in your dashboard. Then the payment would likely be made tonight. And then it can take up to, 4 days or so. Sometimes it's quicker. It all depends on payment volume. But you generally would see your payment in about 3-4 days or so. Another thing that may be happening, I don't know if you've listened to past town halls or seen anything in the news lately, but U.S. Bank is also doing their own type of identity verification a lot of times. So if your card is actually, you're getting a message that it's frozen or something like that, U.S. Bank actually then wants you to send verification to them. They're doing a completely separate process from us. And generally they will communicate that, once you contact them and say, hey, my card is frozen, they'll let you know what you need to do and where you need to send it. So if that's the issue, that's probably what you need to do. But if you're just not seeing the payments yet, your dashboard says they were made and they're no longer in progress, but you're just not seeing it on the card, you may just have to give it, another day or two. It's not as quick a lot of times as regular UC, which is just a 2-day turnaround. Like I said, sometimes it might take 3 or 4 days. And if it's still been a while and you've contacted U.S. Bank and, they haven't been able to help, then you can send us a message at ucpu@pa.gov and we can look into it to see if we can help. It may be on the bank's end, but at least we can make sure there's nothing on our end first and then give you a little bit more advice. I will also point out for you or for anyone else who might be in a situation, if you have had unemployment in the last 3 years, remember that your old debit card is what's active. So if you're wondering why you haven't seen payments or why you haven't gotten a new debit card, you would have to find your old debit card. Hopefully you haven't tossed it, and your money might be on there. If you did toss it, you can always get a hold of U.S. Bank and get a new card from them. But just keep that in mind, and keep that in mind with your current cards that they will be good for 3 years. So if you have unemployment again, even if, you don't collect any unemployment for 2.5 years in the middle, once you reopen your claim or file a new claim 2 years down the road, almost 3 years down the road, you'll still be using the same card, just FYI.
All right, next up, we've got Dana joining us. Dana, thanks for your patience. Go ahead with your question now.
Hi. I was wondering, I originally filed for unemployment back in April, and I am receiving my regular unemployment, but I mistakenly did not check the box that I was laid off due to COVID, and I should have done that. So I've emailed, I've, tried to call, I've gone through my state representative. I just don't know, should I refile my claim? Should I revise it somehow? How do I get that extra $600 a week?
Hi, Dana. When it comes to the extra $600, there was actually no separate box you had to check or anything like that. The payments were just made automatically. So if you're not seeing them, I would recommend sending an email to uchelp@pa.gov and having someone look into it, because that is definitely not a common occurrence. You should, as long as you've received regular, underlying payments, you should get them. Now, keep in mind that the dates, they're only good for specific dates, and that was, from April 4th all the way through July 25th. So there won't be any, payments of the $600 outside of those dates. That's the range. Now, after the $600 payments ended July 25th, that's when the lost wage assistance program started. It only lasted for 6 weeks, but it was an extra $300 a week. That particular program did have an application where you do have to answer 2 questions. So if you're looking for the additional payments for the weeks ending August 1st through September 5th, all you would do is log in to your, log in online to where you would go to file for biweekly claims. And there's a button there that says apply for LWA. You would want to click that button, apply for LWA, and then answer the 2 questions. And then payments will be made, once you save that, payments will be made in the next round of LWA payments. That won't be this week, but that'll be next week. And again, that depends on you getting an underlying benefit for those weeks. So, for example, if we're still adjudicating someone's claim, like they've been filing this whole time, but we haven't made a decision on their claim yet, they wouldn't get the $300 yet. They would have to wait for the payments to be made for those weeks in the first place, and then would receive the $300 after that. I just wanted to clarify. So yeah, when it comes to the $600 payments, just send us an email, and then we could look in and see why it is you're not getting those payments.
Moving on, our next caller is Mark, who joins us. Mark, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, thank you. My PUA started on the 23rd of February. My 39th and last PUA will be this Saturday. I received a letter from you people to that effect, the notice of exhaustion of benefits. But I have a question or two about it. Number one, a general question. Please explain a base year, but specifically it says if you work from February 23rd to the time you file for a new UC, you have to make a minimum, it looks like, 6 times what your weekly benefit rate is. Now, my weekly benefit rate, as I understand it, is $195, so just to round up to $200. Do I have to make a minimum of $1,200 during that period of time? If you don't understand, I'll answer any question you have. Otherwise, I think that's it.
Actually, I think I know what you're getting at, although on PUA it's not quite accurate. That might actually be part of just standard unemployment language generally. So I'll explain the concept. What happens when someone files a claim and goes through a claim and a period of unemployment? What in the Pennsylvania unemployment law, there is information in there that excludes someone from being able to get a second claim without any new work. So, if you're unemployed, you might get unemployment benefits because you're separated from that work, but you're not going to be able to continue, indefinitely getting unemployment benefits from that same work. It's what we call 6 times. 6 times, as you mentioned, is 6 times your weekly benefit rate. And to go from claim to claim, you wouldn't be able to, you would have to do intervening work and work at least 6 times that weekly benefit amount and earn that much before you could ever qualify for a new unemployment claim. And it's in the law because it prevents individuals from just going from claim to claim without doing any more work. It makes sure that an individual does do. We call it the 6 times purge, that they get the 6 times purge and that they're able to potentially open another claim. Of course, they would then have to be eligible based on that separation. They would have to be separated for a good reason that's not their own fault, and all of that. So that's what that generally refers to. Now with PUA, because that's a special disaster-related program, there really wasn't even the potential for anyone to have 2 claims during this disaster period. You can only have 1 claim in a disaster period, unless there was a new disaster or they decide to extend the disaster period and add more weeks of benefits, et cetera. So that's why I made my comment earlier of the 6 times doesn't really apply to PUA. It's kind of its own animal, where you can only have 1 PUA claim, and that's the same as our disaster unemployment, which is called DUA. Is you really only have 1 disaster claim, and then that's it per disaster. So the 6 times is just general language. We also use the 6 times purge when someone's denied. So let's say I quit my job and I did not have a good reason, and I was denied by the department. I can't be eligible for benefits until I've worked and earned 6 times my weekly benefit rate. So I'll be forever denied until I get to that threshold. Which, keep in mind, weekly benefit rates are generally designed in the law to be about half of what you would make during a regular week. So that would be like 3 weeks worth of regular work once you do go back to work if you're making the same amount you used to. So that's what that talks about. In your case, for PUA to be extended or something else new to happen, that does have to come from the federal government. So we're waiting to see what they do. And, then we'll make sure everyone knows what any type of extension or new program is like once we get that information.
All right. Quickly going to an online question submitted by, let's see here, Sammy. I'm sorry. I apologize. Michael, who asks, if the state goes on lockdown and an extreme amount of COVID cases happen, can we have more town halls?
So, Michael, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Well, thank you for the question, Michael. And we will be constantly reassessing, and as the situation changes, if we think that the town halls will be beneficial to our claimants, we will certainly look at adding them again. We haven't made a hard and fast decision that they'll never come back, but we will adapt to any changing circumstances that the COVID-19 pandemic brings. Susan, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, that's about right. And I just, again, we'll thank anyone who has been listening to them so far this year. There have been a lot of people who have said, either when asking their question or maybe they emailed us later or whatever, saying that they were happy to get the information, that they do enjoy listening. So, thank you for listening, and we'll take that, to heart, and when we'll reevaluate when we get to next year.
All right, moving back to callers. Let's try to get a few more in during this call. We're joined by Mark. Mark, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please. Hello, Mark.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're live. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I had originally applied for UC benefits in March, and I was denied. In the meantime, I applied for the PUA and was approved. And then when the new quarter hit in April, I reapplied for UC benefits and was approved. So I never touched any of the PUA benefits that were approved for me. I just went on the UC benefits through the year. So I'm wondering, first of all, am I to go ahead and file for those PUA benefits still that I never did? And they're still available to me? And second question is, I just recently got a notice of financial determination for the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program, and I don't know if that's an extension of the UC benefits or if it's a wholly new program that will be paying me as well. I just can't make heads or tails of those 3 things.
Sure. Hi, Mark. So the way that all these programs interact with each other is there's a certain direction that we have to flow, and that comes from the federal government. And so they tell the states, if an individual can qualify for regular UC, they must take regular UC. They can't choose to go on another program, or we can't even choose to put you on another program. You have to be on regular UC. After regular UC, the 13 weeks of PEUC is guaranteed right now, through December 26th. So you would then have to go to PEUC. After PEUC is extended benefits, which is a shared state and federal program. So that would come after that. And then finally, PUA, we call the program of last resort. PUA only comes after you can't qualify for anything else. So if you opened a PUA claim, but you haven't received your benefits on it, or maybe you did receive benefits on it and should have received on UC, then that's what we'll just end up doing is having to move all of your weeks and move your payments over to a regular UC claim. If you opened the PUA claim, but then you didn't file for any weeks or anything, that's okay. You can just leave it there. You don't need to touch it. You don't need to file any weeks or anything like that. You can just continue claiming on the regular unemployment benefits, and which will, as I mentioned, then the PEUC benefits come after that, and then the extended benefits come after that. When PEUC ends December 26th, extended benefits will continue into the next year, so you'll be set up for a claim for those. And then you'll be able to file for the extended benefits. So we do have a spot on our website. We have a couple different infographics. If you look at our website and you look for, CARES Act information, we have a little chart, a little drawing that kind of shows the flow that I just described of how you have to go from UC to PEUC and on. So you can check that out, and, it explains which programs come before which, and we'll just make sure to get you straightened out onto one program at a time so that you're not illegally getting benefits on two programs at a time. We know sometimes that accidentally happens. We want to prevent that from happening or straighten it out if it did.
Well, thank you very much, Susan, for your expertise and insights you've provided on this call and all the others. We are coming to the end of our live event. Thank you, everyone, for participating in today's L&I Town Hall. We appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you and answer your questions. Now we'll get closing comments from Secretary Oleksiak.
Thank you, Dirk. Let me echo what you just said about Susan. Thank you, Susan, for your expertise throughout these calls. I think you've been a real source of good information, real information for the claimants who have checked in. I also want to thank our unemployment compensation staff who have worked behind the scenes to get both of us ready for all of this. I want to thank our vendor, Broadnet, who has been very helpful in getting these together. I want to thank Dirk for his professionalism and his involvement over the last 26 calls. And particularly want to thank the callers. We have learned a lot from these calls. We hope that you have. And again, as the situation changes, we will reassess where we are with these. I would encourage you to continue checking the website, as Susan talked about, with the troubleshooting guides, the frequently asked questions. Follow any information in the media. And thank you. We really appreciate you being a part of all this. And thank you, Dirk.
Thank you very much, Secretary. And to keep up with the latest developments with Pennsylvania labor and industry, please visit www.uc.pa.gov. And if we were not able to address your questions today, please send an email to uchelp@pa.gov. A hearty thank you to everyone for taking the time to participate in this call. We hope you stay healthy and safe and have a spectacular day.